Hello, all you coin aficionados out there, and welcome to the DC Coin World International Coin Channel. Today we have for you the next in our series of Canadian 1 cent videos. This video we have the 1941 Canada 1 cent, the 1942 Canada 1 cent, and the 1943 Canada 1 cent coin. As you can see, they all have the same design. 1 cent at the top, 2 maple leaves on a sprig of maple in the middle, and the date on the left, and Canada on the bottom. And again, we have the engraver's initials here, and the engraver was George Kruger Gray, so we have the KG for Kruger Gray. Around the outside of the inner rim, we have a beaded circle. And on the obverse or front, we have King George VI, by the grace of God, King and Emperor of India. And we'll turn them all over. They all look the same, so that you can kind of get a view of them. So here we have all three of them. They all have the same, and these coins actually have some pretty similar wear patterns. The youngest of them seems to be the one that's most worn. When we look at these particular coins, we can see a little bit of a difference between this one and this one. And the reason that it does look a little bit more worn is very simple, and we'll go over that right now. The 1941, 1942, and 1943 were war years in Canada. In 1941, on December 7th, a lot of people don't know this information, but or have not, do not remember it, but on the day that the Japanese burned and bombed Pearl Harbor, they also started a 17-day bombing of Hong Kong. So the Japanese attacked the British in Hong Kong on December 7th, 1941, and they attacked the U.S. in Hawaii, Pearl Harbor, on December 7th, 1941. So on December 8th, 1941, of course, Canada and Britain declared war on Japan, and the United States did also. And that day was the day that the United States entered World War II. Prior to that, they had not been a combatant in World War II. So in 1941, war was declared on Japan and Canada. In 1942, the next war year, this was the year that the Japanese Canadians began to be interned and moved away from the coast. The same thing happened in the United States at that time. They took all the Canadian citizens who were also of Japanese heritage and put them in camps for the remainder of the war. It's a pretty sad history in the United States and a pretty sad history in Canada too. And it's something that I think both governments have said they'll never do again, and we hope that they don't ever do that to people simply based upon their national heritage again. The 1943 Canada coin looks a little bit more worn and slightly older, and there is a reason for that, and that is that in 1943 Canada switched the composition of its coins. They didn't change them much, but it changed them a little. So in 1942 and before, it was a bronze coin with 95.5% copper. 0.3% tin, and 0.15% zinc. In 1944, in order to preserve some of the tin, they took some of the tin out and made it a 98% copper instead of 95.5, a 0.05 0.005% tin, and 0.015% zinc. So essentially, they changed the amounts up. Let me go over those amounts again. And for some reason, I put percentages on the end. In 1942, we had a 95.5% copper, a 3% tin, and a 1.5% zinc. In 1943, we had a 98% copper, so it went from 95.5 to 98%, a 0.5% tin, so they lost 2.5% tin, and a 1.5% zinc. So zinc stayed the same, copper went up, tin went down, and that was because they needed the metal to help in the war effort. We didn't really talk much about the year 1943. It was the middle of the war. One thing interesting that did happen in 1943 was the birth of a bunch of great Canadian musicians. Randy Bachman from Bachman Turner Overdrive was born in 1943. Joni Mitchell, the folk singer, the great musician and folk singer, was born in 1943. And Rick Danko, a musician and singer in the band, was born in 1943. That's the end of this version of the Canada 1 cent coin. We will be doing 2 to 3 Canada cents in our series each time we do a video. The next video will be the 1944, 1945, and 1946 Canada 1 cent coin video. If you like to see these world coin videos, please subscribe to DC Coin World International Coin Channel. And if you have any comments about the video or any corrections, please feel free to put them in the comments section on YouTube. Thanks again from DC Coin World International Coin Channel.